and welcome to NONI, Yanga's flagship talk show where we discuss the topics that you, our viewers at home, are talking about just that little bit louder. I'm Afia Adam, and today I'll be seeing if my guests agree that social media is a positive thing for kids and we shouldn't be demonising it. So who are my guests? Well, joining me today are PR consultant Destiny Blake, developmental psychologist Dr. Gold Emmanuel, and model and content creator Jacqueline Ulamoka. Welcome everyone.
Hi.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
When the team and I were researching this topic, we were genuinely shocked at just how many negative stories there were about kids and social media. Reading some of the articles online, you'd be forgiven for grabbing anything your kids own with a screen and having it immediately destroyed. Obviously, abusing or having too much of anything isn't good, but I think social media gets a particularly bad rap when it comes to kids. It's accused of everything from encouraging unhealthy obsessions, killing the art of conversation and poor social skills, not to mention being a prime factor in young people's depression. But what about the fact it helps them find their tribe, combats loneliness, gives them a voice and makes them socially aware about the big issues that affect them, things like climate change, mental health, extremism, to name but a few. Get rid of one and you have to lose the other. As I said before, anything done to excess is damaging. But panel, do you agree we need to stop demonising social media, or is this an argument only someone blinkered to the facts would put forward? Let's discuss. So our kids and social media, for so long we've been told kids and social media is a big no-no. Jacqueline, you're a content creator, a social media influencer. You influence me to do lots of things. Do you think social media gets a bad rap when it comes to our young people?
I think it really does, and for me I feel like the issue isn't the platform, it's the people using it. Just yesterday I was reading a story about a girl from Little Mix. I think her name is Jessie.
I think I read this too.
Yeah, and she was basically saying that it's only now, after all these years, that she feels comfortable in herself, because for years she was getting trolled on social media and called the fat one of Little Mix, this sort of thing. And I feel like social media does open you up to just negative comments from everyone. People on social media have this thing of, what do they call it, like keyboard warriors. Everyone thinks that they're entitled to say anything, and maybe just because you're in the public eye, people feel that they're entitled to talk about your life. And I think for me that's a major issue, where there are no kind of safeguards, there's no boundaries. People can say whatever and do whatever, and children are exposed to that. Me having younger sisters, some of the stuff that I see, like they say they'll go on one of their singers, their favourite singer, they'll go on their page and I'll go through the comments and I'll just see the negativity. And I'm just thinking, how can people just sit in their homes and just say these things? And a lot of them are kids, and it's like, it's giving kids some sort of freedom to just be and say whatever, but there needs to be some sort of safeguarding. And I feel like parents, one thing I always say to my parents is they need to know what's going on. You need to know how your children are using it. You need to know the kinds of things they're saying, because cyberbullying is real, trolling is real, people commit suicide because of these things. Me myself, I've had a lot of negative comments. When I started modelling, I used to get told about my lips and my nose and all sorts of things, but I think children are very impressionable, so a lot of the things they'll see, they'll soak up and they'll repeat. So it's hard, because these days a lot of people are kind of born into social media. Someone have a kid and they've created a Facebook and social media page for them from day one, and it's like, why do they need that?
But from what you said, how can social media be good for our young people?
I think it is great, because in terms of working opportunities, connecting with people, myself, I use social media for modelling, content creation, connecting with brands. I think it's amazing in that respect, and so many children now are blowing on YouTube and blowing on Instagram, and I think there are ways to use it to your advantage to help you in your career, but it works in two ways. I wouldn't say it's good and I wouldn't say it's bad, it's how you use it, it's the person behind it, the intent as well. What are you using it for? Are you using it to actually go on there and spy on celebrities and give them all these horrible kind of comments and things like that, or are you actually doing it to help yourself and connect and meet people? A lot of my sisters' friends they've met on social media and they have good friendships from that. So it's hard. For me, I wouldn't say it's a good or bad thing, it's just it comes with the good and bad.
Destiny, you have a daughter.
Yes, she's 11.
Does she use social media?
Nope, only Snapchat.
Okay.
But even that was a gradual thing.
But Snapchat is a form of social media.
It is.
Yeah.
But other platforms, no, she's not on. For instance,
Why not?
I feel like Snapchat, I can control that because I know who's on her Snapchat, I know who's viewing her Snapchat. But in, for instance, Instagram, you just can't cap and even if you have a private account, you just don't know who's adding you. You just don't know. You know, one thing that social media what stands out for me with social media is that it's so influential. You know, it has a great power of influence, and but the flip side of that, you have to be resilient. So if you are influential, you have to be able to take the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't make it, you know, right that there are trolls, but at the same time, if you're going to publicate your life, you have to be able to
take what comes with that.
What comes with the territory.
Now, Dr. Golden-Manuel, sorry.
People always say things like, oh, if you're in the public eye, then you should expect that you're going to receive negative comments, or you should expect that you're going to receive insults, and it's unfair, because why should you have to prepare yourself?
But that's the world that we live in.
Yeah, it is, but I just feel like
we live in a world of,
it's not acceptable.
You know, it goes hand in hand, you know, and I believe that some negativity, it builds resilience. It does build that resilience and that tenacity.
But we've covered so much of the negative about social media when it comes to young people. But what about the positives? There's so many. Dr. Golden-Manuel, you know, it's a great way for our young people to find out about the issues that affect them, like mental health issues, like climate change. I mean, look at that climate change movement that was built, young people not going to school for a couple of hours on a Friday because of climate change. But that girl from Sweden that swept social media, that's how that movement came about. Isn't that a positive thing?
Social media is got its positive aspect as well as negative, which you did mention. But in terms of the positive aspect of social media, it sort of broadens the breadth of knowledge and awareness that one can grasp, which is quite different from the traditional way that we lived prior to social media evolvement. But when we're looking at the positive side of social media, it helps boost one's self-esteem, because sometimes you have introverts that are not readily able to associate with people and socialize within the social context in the traditional form. But then when it comes to socializing on the internet, because of the power of anonymity sometimes that it gives to an individual, they're able to face the world in that cyber domain. So when you look at that positive aspect in terms of the mental health, they give them that boost to be able to talk when they're not able to talk. But then obviously there's a flip side to that, because anonymity on its own brings about stalking, harassment, and then there's someone hiding behind a screen that you cannot see. But whilst anonymity is negative to the one hand, it sort of boosts one's mentality when it comes to an extreme case of introvertism, where someone is not able to talk, but they're able to speak up
on social media.
Social media.
But there's negatives in absolutely everything, isn't there? And I think when it comes to social media, I have to say, I think it's been unfairly labelled as poisonous to our children. We're not negating the fact that there is cyberbullying, and we're not negating the fact that some young people do have serious mental health issues that could be exacerbated by social media. But what about, you said yourself, your sisters have made long-lasting friendships on there. I mean, that I didn't have that when I was younger. We actually had to, you know, sit and talk to people. It's very annoying. But isn't that a great thing that our young people, that anybody, in fact, not just our young people, anybody can make long-lasting, substantial friendships on social media?
But is it long-lasting though? That's the issue, because, you know, I've met so many people on social media. I believe it's just you know, as much as I do PR work and I'm constantly on social media, I know how draining this thing can be. And sometimes it even isolates you as well, you know. Yes, it's a community on its own, but if I can type and I can text and whatever not, but being able to speak is a whole nother thing, you know. Typing and texting.
Talking about typing and texting and doing all these sort of communication, there back and forth. I think in terms of communication, it sort of decreases the social skill, doesn't it?
It does.
Because you get someone writing you are, and then the grammar aspect of it is completely gone.
But then
in this era.
That's how you know, young people speak,
and it's trend
isn't it?
as well, and you know how, like, back when I was younger on what was it, BBM, and there were certain ways you would talk. I think
that comes
trend.
from, you know, back in the day, don't know about you, I'm a bit older than you only had about 14 characters, didn't you?
Exactly.
So you couldn't be spelling out whole words. We didn't have that, didn't have time. We didn't. But isn't it great that young people can find their tribe? Because I don't know about you, but in my school there was always like one random goth or one random skater, you know, that didn't have anybody else that was like them. Now, thanks to social media, you can literally type in goths into and make friends with someone who lives 5 miles down the road from you and likes the same weird music you do. Isn't that a good thing?
I think it's absolutely amazing, because I feel like growing up as well, there's certain things that I was into that maybe the people around me weren't necessarily into. And I feel like the main issue everyone has is Instagram. I think when it was MySpace, Bebo, MSN, people didn't really have issues. People didn't really have issues. No one said it was negative. I think people have a massive issue with Instagram because of just how much imagery there is bombarding you on a daily basis. And I think that's what the issue is, because people talk about, you know, comparison. Like, you go on your feed, you start thinking everyone's perfect, but you're not perfect. But I think it's also about who you follow. One thing I always say is, if you're on your timeline and you're scrolling through things that are making you feel depressed, unfollow those things. You don't need to, you know, be watching it and viewing it every day, because it does have a damaging effect.
There's also the self-esteem thing on the Instagram, with the likes and followers and
always feeling inadequate.
And recently, Instagram did actually stop the, you know, when people get lots of likes and followers.
Oh yes,
and we're going to
in Canada.
We're going to pick up on that later on in the show, talking about likes and followers and things like that. Hold that thought. I'm going to come back to you. Okay, we do need to take a short break, but when I come back, I want to pick up on what Dr. Gold said about Instagram and what we think the positive effects will be for young people now that it's decided to hide the number of likes a post gets. See you after the break. Welcome back to NONI with me, Afia Adom, and my guests Jacqueline Ilamoka, Dr. Gold Emmanuel and Destiny Blake. So the question we were discussing before the break was, is social media a positive thing for kids and should we stop demonizing it? And Dr. Gold made a great point about Instagram that I want to pick up on, because they're currently testing a feature called hidden likes in several countries, including Canada, Australia, Brazil and Ireland. Now the idea behind it is people who post won't be able to see the number of likes it gets, and so they'll stop caring so much about the competitive element associated with their posts and start caring more about the actual post itself. But do we think this is a good idea? For a generation that has grown up with the validity of friends and strangers online, are we pulling the rug from under their feet? Or is this an example of social media growing up and being healthier? What do we think? Now, I have to say, just because I have to, I think this is a great thing. I really, really do, because I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I was really, really worried. I've been worried for ages about she's going to want to grow up and use social media, and I'm worried about she won't find the validity through the likes, and if she posts a picture that I think is like super cute and it gets 2 likes and her friends post one, it gets 14, she's going to think she's not as cute, less of a person. So if she can use social media and post all these pictures of her mummy like looking really cute or whatever, and the 2 of us, and it doesn't matter how many likes she gets, then she's just got this account and posting all this gorgeous content just because she can. Or am I living in a dream world? Jacqueline?
So my opinion on this is, so I work with social media a lot. I do like Instagram training, workshops and things like this, and my thought process is Instagram are only doing that to keep you on the platform.
Okay.
They know that people who perceive that they're not getting enough likes like to leave Instagram and have these kind of breaks and things like that. So it's their way of, let's try and find a way to keep you on it and create this false sense of reality, like it's all nice and rosy, but at the end of the day, you may not look at the likes, but you're also going to start looking at comments, how many people have actually commented on my stuff. So there are other ways and other things that they're going to start looking at. But for people who work in like influencer marketing, brands will constantly ask you how many likes your post getting. So how will people that do Instagram for a living now be able to kind of measure their success?
I mean, I still find it incredible that I live in a world where people do Instagram for a living, but that's a different show.
Thank you.
I mean, what's your job? Instagram.
Yes.
Anyway.
Advertising.
Advertising.
This is Instagram. This is my job. Unless you work actually at Instagram HQ, it's a different thing. So Dr. Gold Emmanuel, do you think this will be a good idea?
I think it's great. I think it's great because it does help with one's self-esteem, particularly when you see, like you rightly say, sometimes you see people post stuff and then they're wanting that validation.
Absolutely.
So who then validates? Why do you need validation in the first place? And most of the stuff that have like 200,000 likes or 2,000 likes are absolutely nothing to write home about in the first place. It might actually be a glass cup of orange.
She said it. She said it.
Yeah, a glass cup of orange, and then someone kind of like, oh, I love this, and get like 5,000 likes for an orange. But you see a photo of a mother that shows love, cuddled to a baby, and then it's got no likes. And then the child goes, oh my God, you know, who validates this thing? Why do we need validation?
Well, this is the thing, is that we wouldn't have a television program on air if nobody watched it, right? Yeah. So is it just going to take a different level of interaction? Is it now going to be about comments rather than the likes? You know, because we need to know that the comment is the content, is decent. Like you said, one glass of orange juice, 200,000 likes. But if it's got no likes, there's nothing there, or no one's commented on it, then people might think, what's the point? Do we still need something to say that something's good enough to be there?
Is a start to creating a kind of collaborative atmosphere. Yeah. So you have to start from somewhere to be able to delve into another step. So it's a trial thing that is going on with the Instagram likes being taken off from some countries. I think it's going on as well in the United Kingdom this present time. But it's a step towards something positive, I think. So if they roll out the trial and see that maybe business is not going well, some businesses are failing because they're not advertising on Instagram anymore, then there has to be some sort of balance.
But even if a business advertises and they don't get any likes, wouldn't you still advertise? Because it's still a great platform to be on.
And it shows you the viewership as well. It shows you how many people are viewed. And they do have hashtags.
Absolutely. Sometimes too many.
But my issue though is that as humans, do we not seek validation? Because it makes us better as people. So for instance, you might...
though. Validation is a mental state.
So hold on. Yeah, so hold on. So you post a picture on Instagram, and say today you posted a picture and you got 10 likes. But
I would remove it.
Why? Why? First of all, why? And
I would remove it. This is the issue.
And second of all, what did it teach you? Because you said we learn from it, right? And we seek validation and we learn from that. So
for instance, you look beautiful in that dress,
Thank
Sophia.
you very much.
Absolutely. So what that will do is boost your confidence a little bit, right?
Okay, yeah.
But for instance, somebody's come in and they haven't complimented you.
They're blind. I mean, that's they've got something wrong with their eyes.
I don't know. I think,
do
I
you
tend
want
to
the
seek
validation from people you know or from people that you do not know? Because most people that you do know
and what's more important, the validation
Instagram.
from people you do know or the validation from people you don't know?
Exactly.
This is it. Well, to be honest, I think a lot of people that are around anyway, like your friends and stuff, you notice that they won't compliment you, they won't validate because
you have wrong friends then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know who your
maybe,
friends but you need to.
Because I find if I post stuff on Instagram, if I have genuine friends, like 10 friends on Instagram, and they all like whatever it is that I post. Yeah. But I have over 7,000 followers. So do I want validation from these followers?
From the likes to your followers actually doesn't make any sense.
Of course not.
You can have 12k followers.
Yeah, and get 10 likes. But this is the thing, is what you've got to remember is it's not always about your picture, Destiny. It's about the algorithm. True. It's about what time you posted it.
It's about who interacts with you.
You know, if it's about if a network was down. You've got to take all these things into consideration because remember, Instagram is not real life.
But it is.
No, but it's not.
It is now part of it's now coming into the real life situation.
Yeah, and when people say they delete pictures, why are you deleting it? Because it's like, at the end of the day, it's your gallery. You're just showing. It's not as if you're doing it for a job. It's not because someone's going to ask you how many likes did that post get and you're not going to get paid for it. I feel like as someone who just lives a daily life and just posts on Instagram, see it as a gallery, as you just showcasing your world to people. Yeah, people who actually need to post something to get a brand sponsorship and the brand's not going to pay them. But I feel like they need to worry about it. I feel like for everyday person, enjoy it. But it's hard.
Isn't that what we should be filtering down to our kids? Isn't that what we should be impressing on them? That Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or wherever is a place that you can post pictures of things that you love or your friends or yourself, and you can find out about things that you love and you can find out about information that you need to get for a school project and things. No, you don't exactly. You don't have to post things. But isn't that what we should be selling our kids and telling our kids in the first place? It is actually not about validation. It's not about the number of likes. This is a platform where you can share things or don't share things, but you can also find out things and garner information and broaden your knowledge. Shouldn't that be what Instagram is about?
That's true, yeah.
There's
social media generally.
There is a danger in that. There's something called MOFO, which is the fear, FOMO.
Whoa.
The fear of missing out.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Fear of missing out and not MOFO, which is something else completely.
So you keep posting this non-real situation and someone else is looking at this and feeling, oh my God, I'm missing out on this. These guys are going on holiday, world holiday. Yeah. But then they've done a Photoshop.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why I think people need to not take it too seriously. It's easy for me to say this because I work with Instagram and stuff like that, but I honestly feel like don't take it too seriously.
How do you get most of your jobs though, your modelling
That's
jobs?
why I say for me,
Instagram?
because I work with Instagram, I see it as a business.
So I
don't post any personal stuff. Like, it's not a thing where I'm like, oh, I'm posting my family, no one's liking my family, so I'm going to take my family down. I don't post that sort of stuff. I post
yours is quite different.
But you're also seeking validation.
But I'm not, because for me, I'm just putting out, how I see it is I'm putting out content that I feel is suitable and things that represent me. And if you want to follow me and you like it, follow me.
But
if
is
you
that
don't,
not what gets you most of your jobs?
Yeah, but if you don't,
then you are
then
seeking
it's fine. But then
validation.
there are
Destiny,
people who
you've talked a lot about seeking validation. Is that something we want to filter down to our young people?
No, this is why I don't agree with social media with kids. For kids.
So you don't think social media is good for children?
Not straight away, because I know how it makes me feel.
So
it makes me feel inadequate.
What age would you say it's suitable for a child?
This is it, because when she turned 11 last month, I was just like, I actually posted, how do you know, I put a photo up and I said, is it too early for my 11-year-old? And I got the majority, 80%, said yes, it was too early. Because even though it's not a real world, we are still taking this into our environments. And whatever we see and what we filter in, that is how we tend to live. Do you know what I mean? We're following this and living this.
It's not part of the real world.
Absolutely.
And we have to prioritize security. I think social media is good for kids, but we need to prioritize security.
And also, if you
Yeah,
need to be, and if you want your child to have social media at 12, 13, first of all, you need to be in charge of it. And second of all, by doing that, you can curate their experience.
That's true.
That's right? Can't we, Jacqueline? We can decide this is what you can see and this is what you can't see to a certain extent.
Yeah, and I think it's the same way you were saying on Snapchat, you love the fact that you can see who she's following and who's snapping her. I feel like if parents take that same approach to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, then they know that at least they have some control over it.
Yes.
I think the issue is when you've kind of just left your kid to their own devices, they're doing something, you don't know what's going on, then it can become
what if a child cracks the parental password?
No, do you know what?
And then have a profile that says they're 18 years old, and then they become open.
And
Literally, let
that
me tell you a
happens.
story. My little sisters, they're 18 and 17. The 17-year-old one said to me, she was like, oh, do you know, a few years ago to access Facebook you had to be a certain age, but all of my friends in school all pretended or lied about their age to get on it. And I was like, what? Like, is this what you people do? And she was like, oh, but I didn't. She was like, I didn't, I just waited.
That's what she said.
So
has this discussion made you think any differently about social media and children and how they view it and how it can be perhaps more positive for them than we initially thought?
On the other hand, and on the flip note, I do think, like, people like yourself, Jacqueline, you know, especially coloured women, you're such a role model for, you know, the generation that are coming up now. You know, are they Generation X? Yeah, or whatever they are.
Who knows what
Gen X. So, you know, we've got influencers, we've got bloggers, we've got people that are portraying, you know, a lot of positive things. But it's just being able to cap how much they see, but then how do you cap that? Because you really, they're open to such a world, such a huge world. But influencers, you know, bloggers, people that are portraying positive things, I think that could be.
So yes or no? Is it good for kids?
I can't say yes.
Yes or no? Is it good for kids?
Prioritizing security, yes, I would say it is.
Jacqueline?
Yeah.
I would say both.
There's always
and parents need to know how to use it as well, because then you can actually know how to safeguard your children and know what's going on.
So yes, if done properly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
And
I think
and minimize the time that is spent.
that's true.
Yes,
That's true.
They've got a time window.
I'm going to come out and say, actually, yes, I do think it's good for kids. Used properly, I think it can be great for our young people.
Yeah. Anything. Like
Exactly.
anything.
And we have to put a bit of a more positive spin on social media. It gets a bad rap. Well, that's it from me, Afia Adam, and my fantastic guests, Jacqueline Unwoka, Dr. Gold Emmanuel, and Destiny Blake. Thank you so much for joining me, and don't forget, every single episode of NONI, past and present, is online at yangatv.com. So wherever you are in the world, you can see this show and other great content from Yanga. Join us again soon for more entertaining chat. Goodbye.